Welcome back to the Bear Talk Podcast. I'm back with another episode. In this episode, we'll be reacting to another Bleacher Report article, Bold 2026 NBA free agency predictions for LeBron James, James Harden, and other stars. I'm pretty sure there's like 10 predictions in this, just kind of getting a little reaction video in here from Bleacher Report. They've been pretty good with some of these articles as well. We did another one on their mock draft a couple weeks ago as well. But free agency in the NBA offseason kind of comes really quick compared to like the NFL. Like after the finals, you have the draft and then it's right into free agency, and free agency pretty much lasts the entirety of the summer. With that being said, we can jump right into it of these bold predictions going into this free agency period. Final starts tonight by the time I'm recording this. Trae Young to start us off with. So it looks like there's 10 of these. It was surprising that the Atlanta Hawks were looking to trade Trae Young, but the Washington Wizards seemingly came out of nowhere for veteran point guard. The Wizards followed that up with another move by Anthony Davis, looking to the number 1 overall pick in the draft. The tanking is over. Washington's Young is likely to stick around. Instead of earning $49 million, Trae Young is expected to opt out and sign a contract that gives Washington more flexibility. While looking in a healthy raise, the Wizards could offer a 4 or 5 year deal, but 3-year agreement seems like a reasonable compromise. Trae Young opts out. $49 million. The Wizards re-sign him at $105 million over 3 years, starting at $32.5 million. This would be a really good deal for the Washington Wizards to kind of get Trae Young for cheaper, but on a long-term extension. I kind of always got that vibe. The second he got traded to Washington, it seemed like he wanted to be there, and I feel like that's something that Washington values a ton. I'm not going to be shocked if Anthony Davis is somebody that gets moved because, one, he seems like somebody who already doesn't want to be in the building. Two, where do you go? Like, with the number 1 overall pick, you draft AJ DeBonsa. Yeah, I think Anthony Davis is good to have there as a vet, but you could probably still net something valuable for Anthony Davis and what he could provide you on the basketball court, and he already doesn't want to be there. He's looking to compete for championships. Trae Young is a younger player, but getting him around these young guys, I feel like has a good table setter, good developmental point guard for all of these guys. And Trae Young, like, he's somebody that his value's been down over the past couple of seasons. Like, has had some injury struggles as well, but Trae Young at his best is somebody that can average 25 and 10, 12 a night. Like, and putting him on a team with all this scoring and Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, a big man like Alex Sarr, like now you have AJ DeBonsa, Darren Peterson to the mix. I think this is a really good addition for the Washington Wizards. They're an organization where I feel like I'm glad they decided to, one, has a small market buy low on a star in this league. It was either him, John Morant, Zion's getting to that realm as well, but I think Trae Young fits Washington the best. I feel like him wanting to be there is something that the organization values a ton. But to get him opting out of the $49 million and re-signing him for 32.5 over 3, that's a really good deal for them. Peyton Watson. Before I scroll down, I'm interested to see, like, man, I feel like it's been so long because he was hurt and out for so long for the rest of the season once he got hurt middle of the season after he was breaking out. So I'm interested to see where they have him landing. Prediction: the Nuggets re-sign Watson at $145 million over 5 years, starting at $25 million per. I don't mind the contract. I'm more so thinking about Peyton Watson as a player on this team. They definitely have to keep him. He's their best point of attack defender. But are you going to go into this offseason thinking we should trade Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray? Like, what are they doing this offseason? It's a very high-pressure offseason for them because of how this past season ended. Is Cam Johnson going to become available so they can make a move like this happen? To afford Watson while avoiding second apron penalties, look for Denver to trade Cam Johnson or Christian Braun this summer. That could enable them to keep Jonas Valanciunas at $10 million with only $2 million guaranteed while giving Watson a significant raise. So looking at, I think Cam Johnson is definitely the easier contract to move in this. Christian Braun, he's such a Denver Nuggets Jokic-style offensive player from what we've seen him in his career so far. So it's definitely Cam Johnson I expect to be moved so they can bring in Peyton Watson. And you got to think, like, Peyton Watson has a 3-level scorer developing even more going into next season. Can maybe not be the shooter that Cam Johnson is, but give you that extra scoring punch that you wanted from Cam Johnson when you did make that trade with Michael Porter Jr. So I think this is a really good get for Denver at the end of the day. It's just, are you going to be able to move Cam Johnson or Christian Braun? Maybe both this summer if you wanted to get really crazy with it. But looking at the other teams, the Lakers, Nets, Chicago Bulls are all going to make a run at him. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if he was on a different team next season. Like, I wouldn't be shocked with Chicago having all this cap space. Brooklyn has pressure on them to want to win next year because they don't have their first-round pick. I believe that is the Houston Rockets getting their pick next year. So I'm interested to see where he ends up, because he's one of the guys, him and I think Jonathan Kuminga, I look at in the same light. In a way, not so much as player, but kind of situations where like they're younger guys with a ton of promise and a ton of potential, but there's some teams that have cap flexibility out there that want to turn the corner and be better. Lakers, I don't see happening. I don't think they're going to be able to have the money for somebody like Peyton Watson, but I think Brooklyn and Chicago could outbid Denver going into this offseason. Keon Ellis. This is somebody like me and Cole, when we did our playoff predictions and we were looking at the Cavs and we both had the Cavs going to the conference finals, we thought Keon Ellis was going to get a lot more burn than he did in the playoffs. But like looking at him as a player, really good defender, capable shooter, he's somebody that can fit on any given team in the league. So I'm interested to see where they have him going. Prediction: Nuggets sign Keon Ellis. So we're getting back-to-back Nuggets plays right here at $12.4 million at 2 years, starting at $6.1 million. This would be a really good get for the Denver Nuggets. Really good get. Improves your defense, gives you another shooting option out there that can handle the ball. Like, he is a really good shooter from three. He's just your perfect 3-and-D guard. A team that would need a backup behind Nikola Jokic. A priority for Denver is getting a point of attack defender in the backcourt. Ellis was a solid in that role for the Sacramento Kings before getting traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have apron issues and may struggle to fit them into their plans. And he already wasn't playing anyway, so I'm looking at Denver. This would be a really, really good get for Denver, especially if you make this move. Not saying Keon Ellis or Peyton Watson, kind of putting these two together, are the shooter that Cam Johnson is, but getting a 3-level scorer at his best, and Peyton Watson, who's a good point of attack defender, and adding Keon Ellis, who can be a good 3-and-D guard for you off the bench, would be a very good add. And I think that would kind of negate and kind of help some of the shooting woes that you could possibly have losing Cam Johnson, because he is a knockdown 3-point shooter. But this would be a home run pick. If Keon Ellis ended up in Denver, this is a home run pick, because I can see a world where maybe Christian Braun isn't knocking down his threes and you got to slide Keon Ellis in there in the backcourt next to Jamal Murray. You're not losing a ton defensively, and you still have that 3-point shooting impact. So I really like this deal and this prediction for the Nuggets to get Keon Ellis. I'd assume it. This is the big one. It's probably the best like role player guy in this free agency class. I have a hard time believing that Minnesota's going to let him walk out the door, though. They traded for him at the deadline, possibly even moved Donte DiVincenzo to free up the money to go sign, I would assume, because Donte DiVincenzo is probably not going to be playing for you next year with the injury. But let's see what happens. Yep, Donte DiVincenzo down with the Achilles. What's the prediction? I assume Timberwolves re-sign him to $85.2 million over 4 years, starting at $19.5 million. This is just the trade they have to make, the signing they have to make. They have to bring back Ayo Dosunmu, especially if you're not going to have Donte DiVincenzo for next year. I think getting Ayo Dosunmu back, obviously you traded for him at the deadline. In this article, they're already saying about the Donte DiVincenzo injury as well. So with how he was playing in the playoffs for you, even though he was banged up in that Spurs series, you got to bring him back. Got to bring him back, and I think this is a really good contract. $20 million for Ayo. I think it's valid with what he can provide you. Has a shot creator at times, has a knockdown 3-point shooter, has a defender. He's just truly a do-it-all point guard, 2-guard out there, and I think he fits perfectly next to Anthony Edwards on this team going forward. CJ McCollum, somebody who's probably increased his value a ton in the playoffs playing with the Atlanta Hawks. He can go a couple of different places. He can go to Detroit. Atlanta could bring him back. What's another team that could use just some more scoring? Maybe Golden State could use somebody like CJ McCollum. Milwaukee, if you keep Giannis, could use somebody like CJ McCollum as another shot creator. But they can go a number of different ways here with CJ McCollum. Playoff hero in Atlanta, 35 in September, doesn't fit the age, but they do bring it back. Hawks re-signed CJ McCollum at $40 million over 2 years with a team option starting at $20 million. I think he could low-key go somewhere else. Maybe get a tad bit more off the team option. Tad bit more depending on how desperate a team is. But I do like his fit in Atlanta because you got to have that vet go-to guy. And you saw that in the playoffs where maybe Jalen Johnson wasn't so ready to be the number one on this team going into the playoffs and being number one in a playoff series. CJ McCollum was huge. He was huge in this playoffs, getting 2 games off the Knicks, and that's their only 2 losses so far up to this point in the playoffs. So, looking at CJ McCollum, I definitely think he's up to his value. Let me see what else they're saying. Long-term needs will be addressed at 8 and 23 in the draft, presumably with a guard and center support. Hawks can pay McCollum and use their non-taxpayer mid-level exception, near $15 million to chase a starting caliber center, perhaps DeAndre Ayton. I would hate DeAndre Ayton with the Hawks. Personally, he's just kind of rubbed me the wrong way with his exit with the Lakers this past season. So I'm looking at maybe they were able to get, for the Hawks, if you get CJ McCollum, right? Get CJ McCollum. Say at 8 you get Kingston Flemings. And say at 15 you go, I think the home run pick is a Daymar. Say you get a Daymar at 8, and then at 23 you get like Isaiah Evans. I think both those would be really, really good fits for them. But I think a Daymar has to be their center acquisition this summer because the center market in free agency isn't the deepest. You have guys like Walker Kessler, DeAndre Ayton, but like Walker Kessler going to have a high price tag. Do you want to have the money for that? But I think a Daymar should be the home run pick. And if you add, going into next year, if you told me the Hawks added CJ McCollum, brought him back, a Daymar, and like somebody like Isaiah Evans, Dalen Swain, somebody that can help out on the wing because you don't know what you're doing with Ricochet or Jonathan Kuminga yet this offseason. But if they were able to do that going into next year, I think they're in a really good position going forward. Kobe White would be shocked if he left the Charlotte Hornets. Yep. Hornets were signing White at $70 million over 3 years, $21.5 million for Kobe White to be pretty much your sixth man that can close games for you. He hit some big time shots to even get them into the position that they were in the plan and winning that game against the Miami Heat, if I'm not mistaken, in the plan. So like looking at him, yep, the first playing game against Miami, he hit some crazy shots against the Heat in that game. And then they lost to the Orlando Magic. Got to bring him back. He traded for him at the deadline as well. One of the better acquisitions at the deadline, and he fits what they want to do perfectly going forward with the pace and the space and the three-point shooting. I think he's a home run pick for them to bring back this year. Ooh, Jalen Duren. Ooh. This is an interesting one because he's due max money. I think the All-NBA teams came out and they said the extension that he could get was absolutely insane. But let's see where they have him going. They do re-sign him. Pistons re-signed Duren at $200 million over 5 years, $34.5 million per year. Such a young player still in this league. One bad playoff. He'll turn 23 in November. He'll just turn 23 in November. He's getting this contract. Like, I think he's fine. I think he fits what the Pistons want to do so well. And when you're looking around the league, like, it's hard to find good center play. It's really hard to find good, consistent center play. And he's a really good defender, really good rebounder. Yeah, he had some lowlights in the playoffs, but with a young Detroit Pistons team, I expect him to turn it around going into next season, and I think he'll be fine going forward. But if you're the Pistons and you do lose Jalen Duren to a team and you're not sold on Jalen Duren as a player going forward, have to do some kind of sign and trade to get K the number 2 option going forward, and then you kind of shuffle the deck at the center position. But fine with them bringing Duren back, $200 million over 5 years. I don't hate it because he's somebody you got to bring back. You can't have a low light and then change the complete identity of the team based off that. But if you do think you can go elsewhere and improve the team, sign and trade Jalen Duren for something. Maybe that's Austin Reeves or somebody of that nature. But I'm fine with the Pistons bringing back Duren as well. James Harden, I assume he just stays with the Cavs. He opts out of his $42.3 million player option. The Cavs re-signed him for 2 years, $32.5 million, just kind of giving them a little bit of wiggle room in this offseason because they are a very expensive team. While the Cavs were exposed against the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, don't lose sight of how strong the franchise was since acquiring Harden, that this team has the best postseason performance since LeBron James left for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's where I'm kind of like torn on it because you finally break through and get to the conference finals, but the way you went out in the conference finals makes you question even the core that you're running with now that got you to that conference finals appearance. So I'm looking at this team and it's like, I think you kind of have to run it back with how wide open the East is and how things change so quick in the Eastern Conference. I think running this team back and bringing everybody back and maybe adding to that small forward position, because that was my main takeaway from this team. Like when you're looking at Spurs, OKC, Knicks, saying it, Spurs, Knicks, OKC, Cavs. If you're the Cavs, you can't live and die with Dean Wade being your point of attack defender. No shade to Dean Wade, but you have to get better on the perimeter defensively. And I feel like that was the biggest gap with them in the New York Knicks because all the rest of the teams remaining in the conference finals picture all had great defensive point of attack defender guys. And the Cavs just lacking that department. I think they really need to address the small forward position. Maybe that's a Max Strus, Dean Wade kind of trade. Dean Wade's a free agent as well. I don't even mind you bringing Dean Wade back, but you have to add to that position. I wouldn't be shocked if they are able to go acquire somebody like Herb Jones possibly, but his contract kicks in next season as well, and he hasn't been great offensively, but defensively, pairing him up with Mobley gives you at least a little bit more cushion at the defense position just for your team. But Harden coming back to the Cavs, that's going to happen. I would be shocked if he went anywhere else. Austin Reeves, he just seems like a Laker for life. If you like looked into any of the draft stuff. He wanted to go to the Lakers. Like, he turned down every workout. He went undrafted, basically kind of on purpose to get to the Lakers, because they had they were able to sign him post draft, but they have him re-signing with the Lakers at $35 million per year on a 4-year deal. You kind of got to bring him back and go into this era where LeBron James could be in his final year next season. You run this team back with hopefully a healthy Luka. Maybe things turn out differently for you in the second round because OKC Thunder didn't have J-Dub. But I think this team's just going to run it back, try to address the 5 spot, try to add another point of attack defender as well. But you have to bring back Austin Reeves because he's a part of the post-LeBron James, Luka Doncic era in terms of LeBron James retiring. You have to have somebody there with Luka as a running mate. And I think Austin Reeves for them is going to be that guy going forward. But I do think they need to address the center position. I'm interested to see how they do that because they do have a pick in the first round, which they could do to address the center position. But I do like him getting and staying with the Lakers. But he's another player to where, like, the Brooklyn Nets want to be good next season or want to be better enough to, like, not be a bottom 3 team with the new lottery odds. And then you have the Chicago Bulls that have a ton of money. Like, there are some teams, like the Detroit Pistons could hit you up about a sign and trade. Like, Lakers fans, like, let me ask that question. For Lakers fans, if the Detroit Pistons hit you up and said, we'll do a sign and trade with Duren and Austin Reeves, are the Lakers saying yes to getting Jalen Duren on this team and letting go of Austin Reeves? Because Jalen Duren solves your center problems perfectly, and he's the perfect fitting center with Luka Doncic going forward. He might not be a floor spacing guy, but he's a lob threat, great defender, young, fits this new updated timeline with the Lakers. And for the Detroit Pistons, they have Isaiah Stewart, Paul Reed. Like, they can make another addition. They also have a first round pick in this year's draft as well, to where it's like they could also add the center position through the draft or through free agency because they do have the money to do so. So I'm looking at this as like, I'm fine with the Lakers bringing back Austin Reeves, but would you do a Jalen Duren, Austin Reeves swap if that sign and trade was on the table this offseason? Because I think it makes a little bit of sense for both sides in that sign and trade. Last one, LeBron James. Do they get crazy? Do they get crazy? Wow. Okay, here we go. The prediction is LeBron James signs with the Warriors on $30.8 million over 2 years, with a player option starting at $15 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception bonus. Kristaps Porzingis re-signs on a 2-year contract with a player option. The amount depends on player movement as low as $7.5 million in the first year to fit within the Warriors' means. So they have him leaving LA and going to the Warriors. Meanwhile, Steve Kerr agreed to continue coaching the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry will get an extension with the franchise, focusing on the short-term run with Jimmy Butler, who should be healthy from the knee injury well before All-Star break. Draymond Green, Kristaps Porzingis. James doesn't make sense for room. Oh, what does it say? Makes sense for room teams like Chicago Bulls or Brooklyn Nets. A sign and trade with the Lakers will require a 3-year deal and a trigger apron and restrictions. The chance to finish his career in Golden State with Steph Curry will be James' path forward. Next question: How do you get there? So if you're going into next season, you're the Warriors, and you find a way to have Curry, Bron, Butler, Kristaps, and Draymond, like, that's fun. That's a fun lineup. Obviously, having Curry and Bron on the same team is fun enough already. Having Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green around him, and it looks like that's going to happen. Sign a $30.8 million. So it seems like they're going to have to get off some contracts for if you're the Warriors, but just off the surface level of this, him going to the Warriors, I think the Warriors are the only team that he would go to if he were to leave LA. I don't think he's leaving LA. I think he's going to stay there, ride it out with Luka, AR, JJ Redick going into next year. But I don't even hate this for the Lakers side of things, because if you're looking at it, right, as much as LeBron is meant to the Lakers, right? If you're the Lakers, aren't you kind of ready to get into like this Luka, Austin Reeves era? You can use LeBron James money to like fill out the rest of the roster that better fits Luka Doncic. Like, I think this move makes the Lakers' future a lot more clear, a lot more simple for them to do. Because if LeBron James is out the door, we can really turn the gears and turn this roster into a better fitting roster around Luka Doncic. For the Warriors, this would be a huge get. Like, it's obviously LeBron James and Steph Curry, but this would be like your ultimate get to like push to get another ring for Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. I think Golden State's the only other team that LeBron James will leave the Lakers for. I don't think the Cavs thing is happening, and he's not really going anywhere else. I do think he stays. But if you're the Lakers, this wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Obviously, losing LeBron James is a huge hit, but it would turn your future into we're building around Luka Doncic going forward. And I think that would be something that would intrigue the Lakers a little bit because it kind of gets their future kickstarted a year earlier than it once would. And then they can go into the 27 offseason with a bigger, more loaded free agency class and kind of address things there. But I do think it makes sense for the Lakers to kind of be fine with LeBron James possibly leaving them this offseason. But I do think he ends up staying with the Lakers this season and finishes his career out, whether that's next season or another season from now. But it looks like in this that he would be on a player option. So it would be 2 more years. So they'd have 2 years with the LeBron Curry window with Butler, Draymond Green. Yes, they're an older team, but Steph, Bron, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. I think Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and the shot blocking ability and the spacing of Kristaps Porzingis could be very fun. They have a first-round pick this year as well. It's a lottery pick. If they were able to just sign him straight up out of free agency for this contract, huge get for the Warriors. I don't think it would be that simple for them. They'd have to get off some money elsewhere as well. But if they were able to make something like this happen, huge get for the Warriors. And I think it makes a little bit of sense for the Lakers as well. Like getting their future started, building around Luka Doncic in a really good free agency period, because now you're looking at this whole new world with no Bron next year with Luka AR. You can use that money that you're paying Bron to kind of fill out the rest of this roster better fitting around Luka. So I see both sides of this, but I do think LeBron stays in LA and finishes his career out there. But I do think if he were to leave, the Warriors would be the only other team that he would go to. But that's all I have for this article. Bleacher Report, link to this article will be in the description below. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We got a ton of NBA content rolling out. Final starts tonight by the time I'm recording this. But thank you guys for tuning into the Barrels Talk podcast. So we'll see you tune in to future episodes.